come to this podium that's in the center of the room and adjust the microphone, as I failed to do today, so that we can pick up your voice because the meeting is recorded to help with the minutes. The board will ask any questions that they might have after you have presented your project. Then anyone wishing to speak about the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinions. Each side will have 2 minutes to speak, 10 minutes to speak. All comments should be about the project presented. This is not a venue to air personal grievances. If you hear the gavel, you are out of order. If you persist, you will be removed from the meeting. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item has concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render a decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the architectural reviewer are final. Any person having a request for a certificate of appropriateness denied by the board may appeal such denial to the Montgomery County Circuit Court. Any such appeal shall be filed with the Circuit Court within 30 days of the receipt of the notice of the board. All right. We have 5 members present, and it takes 5 to pass a motion. Oh, 6.
Barry,
6 members present.
Barry snuck in.
All right, Barry, thank you. If your 2 worst enemies are on the board and you think they're going to vote against you, you can delay your item to a day where we have more people here. If you'd like to delay your request, please let us know the time your project is announced. I'm Elizabeth Brown. I'm the chairman. This is Sam Youst. Katie Williams. What? Are there? Yes. Barry Robinson, Hillary Morgan, and John Hayden. All right, the first item on the agenda is Joseph Lanoux, 559 LeGrand Place, roof replacement. In the interest of transparency, I did go and look at their roof, but I gave them no specific advice. They made good decisions on the first, just out of the box.
Thank you. Good evening.
You're going to have to move that closer. Thank you.
Excuse me. Last year,
Perfect.
a tree, as you've seen shown in the documents, hit our house, broke quite a number of tiles. It hit a chimney, it broke the chimney apart, and as the chimney pieces exploded across the rest of the house, they damaged a lot of tiles. The tiles are antique, they're no longer manufactured. They were made by the Ludovici Company in Ohio. We contacted the Ludovici Company. They don't make that tile anymore, but they make similar tiles, similar color, and similar terracotta manufactured. I brought 2 this was the original tile, the original color. And the new tiles that they make are a little bit larger, but the color is very similar to the one that was on there already in the similar terracotta composition. And that's really all I have to say. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
We look at a lot of roof projects with original roofs like this where people either are unwilling or unable to replace the original roof, and I really appreciate you and Lucy Lee having your commitment to the neighborhood and to this house, and that you're putting the original roof back on.
Well, thank you very much. We take that seriously.
Any questions from the audience? Any other questions from the board? And have a motion?
No.
Hang on.
Hold on.
Wait.
Is this mic working? Thank you. Okay. Ms. Brown, I received a comment from the Old Cloverdale Association. They could not be here, so they just indicated they have no objection to the proposal and wish the homeowners well with the project.
Thank you. Now may I have a motion?
I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? All right, go and do good work. Maryann McCrory, what? Oh, you have more?
There was also an item about the drip line on the edge of the roof, a little piece of copper that
Yeah.
just funnels the water over the trim that's immediately below it, required by and it turned green and you wouldn't be able to see it.
All right, that's fine. Even if we can't see it, we'll be fine.
As it was a part of the recommended installation of the roof, I think that that gets just approved.
Well, we said
Pro
as
facto,
submitted,
yeah.
and that was submitted, so.
All right, thank you very much.
We've never had anyone disallow a roof drip edge. Okay, Maryann McCrory, 1603 Madison Avenue, Capitol Heights.
That's me. You have the color swatch that I turned in for the front door?
Okay.
Somewhere?
Looks a little bit less bright
There it is.
in the picture. So you want to,
I don't know what to say. I've been faithful to your palette, and I have the drabbest house in town. So, I hate to call it pink front door because it's really very, very deep pink. Not Barbie, nothing to do with Barbie. I just need something to make it sort of pop. It's boring. I'll get compliments on that color.
Do you have an actual swatch?
I turned all that in. It was a Sherwin-Williams sample.
that must be what we've got, just copy.
Yeah, it should be on item 2B in the agenda packet that you all have.
It's not very, just so you know, it's, I was looking at this
It's
card
very
the other
close
day.
to
It's not as bright as it's
the
showing.
deepest pink crepe myrtle pink.
Is this what you're talking about, Sean?
Yeah, it would be one after, so the next page.
It looks much brighter on your computer screen than it does in the swatch.
I mean, it says she wants to paint it pink. This looks red. The other one doesn't look pink. I'm not sure what.
I can't see that.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Can I come and look at it?
Sure, come on up.
It's a darker.
Yeah. It's gonna be different, even more different on the computer screen.
Okay.
That's it. It's more like a red to me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Pinky
So,
red, ruby kind of color, yep. Yep.
I just use that on something else, and I mean, it's more of a red than it is a pink.
The door,
I would say red.
the door.
Yeah.
Just the door.
When you talk about the door, you got like two doors on your front? Are you talking about just the main center door?
Can you get her to come back to the microphone? Thank you.
And we're talking about just the physical door, not the transoms, not the surrounding windows, just the door itself.
That's right.
Okay.
What about your door in front of it, the screen door?
I've taken down the screen door.
Oh, you're taking down the screen door? Okay.
It was as old as the house. And also purple.
Are there any comments from the audience or questions from the audience? More questions from the board?
Can I see the sample again, please?
I can actually be happy with a darker rose, but everyone says it should be a red door, and that's just so Christmas.
Well, especially since your house is sort of green, it would be Christmassy, wouldn't it?
Also kind of a cliche.
Yes. I think that there's a great tradition in our country and in historic neighborhoods of brightly colored main doors. I don't have any objection to this. Others may have a different opinion.
Well, again, when I read the information in the packet, it said pink. And I've been on the board for over 10 years lived in a historic neighborhood for longer than that, and I've seen a number of colors of doors. I don't think I've ever seen pink. I have a neighbor, he's got a door in his home right down the street from me that's very similar to this color. So now I don't know if it was put there prior to the area being designated historic, but I mean, I certainly understand that you would like a little pop. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. So, does anyone else want to look at the sample?
Now, I think you can have pop without painting the door pink, but that's just me.
Well,
To
again,
me,
this isn't pink.
I don't think this is pink, Cedric.
Well,
Now,
To
I'm a
me-
guy. I'm a
pink,
guy. I only know
pink,
about
yellow,
7.
red, purple. I mean, it's
To me, I think that this color is more of a, I would say it tends to lend itself more to a rosy red than it does
Well,
a
I thought about
necessarily
just
pink.
calling it crepe myrtle.
So, I personally don't have an issue with color. I think that the color is going to give a pop to the door and stick out, but it's also not something that is completely, I
Okay.
think, off the spectrum, is I guess the way to put it. So I think it meets the historic fabric that we have here and still gives a pop of color to the house. But that's, we all have our opinions, Cedric.
We've got a long agenda. May I have a,
I move to approve as submitted.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Thank you.
Opposed by the same sign?
And can we get some better colors on that chart?
see,
Well, we've got that
that's
pink
what you
now.
start.
We've
That's what we're
approved it.
starting.
Yep,
That's what we're starting.
all right.
Thank you.
But just the door.
Just the door.
All right, Joshua and Victoria Waite, 3203 Montezuma Road.
Good evening, how y'all doing? Thank you for your time. My wife is not with me tonight, but I'm representing both of us. So we are the homeowners at 3203 Montezuma. That is our primary residence. And this home's built in 1935, and this outbuilding immediately to the left, best of my research, is approximately the age of the home. It is in dire need of repair for it to not be ultimately a tear down. The front doors facing DeSoto, which is a side road, are essentially coming off the hinges and are disintegrating. The wood behind the front paneling is severely deteriorated. What I would like to do ultimately is I would like to save this structure. I would like to invest my own time and money to repair it, make it useful again, and basically keep a historic outbuilding from eventually having to be taken down or just collapsing. So as long as I'm going to invest my time and money, I would like to make it useful to my purposes. And the propositions, essentially what I want to do is like for like on the majority of it. A lot of this wood siding that is the 6-inch lap board will need to be replaced. There is some interior framing to be replaced. There's bulging brick that needs to be fixed. There is new shingle that needs to put on. All of that would be like for like and in no way changing the appearance or the structure. What I do want to propose in order just to make it useful to my purposes while I'm making this investment is there is really no security to these current front double doors, and I would like to frame that in and essentially put a standard size entry door with a small window for light. Currently, this building has no windows, allowing no natural light to come in, and I would ultimately like to put at least 2 windows in for natural light. So this framing would essentially allow for a standard door, window, and then any areas not covered by the door or window would be the same siding that is in place right now. Try to keep as many things like for like again. You can see on the long side of the building facing the house there in the second photo, that door is hanging off the hinges, cannot be secured, so essentially that outbuilding is really not useful for anything in its state where it can't be secured. So I would like to address remediating that door as well. And then my final proposal for an alteration on this would be to make a small extension on the back, which would be on the southern side. There should be a third photograph in there somewhere. Right there. So essentially I want to build a small addition just to make this space more useful to me while I'm already there working with the materials. I would like to just create a little bit more usefulness out of the space. It will be approximately, I think I have 9 by 8.5 feet, so less than 100 square feet of addition with a slope shingled roof and a single entryway on the south side. Apologies. So that is essentially, and then on that addition, which is the red boxed in, this is gonna, my goal is to maintain the appearance like for like as much as possible. Continuation of the red brick skirt, continuation of the same 6-inch wood lap siding, try to keep everything. And then as far as color, either to match the existing color or to stay within the ARB historic color palette, so we're not changing anything up with any kind of color request. Those are the essential alterations that I'm requesting as part of the just upkeep and required maintenance to keep this outbuilding alive. One other note to mention, you can see a property in the back. The only real property that will have that has any clear view of this outbuilding other than my own property is 3202 LeBron. Incidentally, I own that property, so there isn't going to be any complaint from that neighbor at 3202 LeBron. So we just happen to own 2 adjoining properties, and so I do want to mention that because that really is the only other property besides ours that there is any like true visibility for this outbuilding. I can't think of any other property owners that visually these changes would affect in any way. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them also.
Okay, so you're gonna make this whole front side look like siding with a door in one side or a door in the center?
Are you talking about the
front,
picture that
the
is
front
facing
elevation?
DeSoto?
Yeah, the gable end elevation. We're sitting on the other side of your car in the photograph.
Okay, yes. So on that photo, where essentially that front profile of the building are these 2 double doors. Both of those doors are completely dilapidated.
Right.
Would have to be replaced in their entirety to make the building secure, rather than, I imagine its original use was potentially as a carport. That is not my intention to use it for that, so I don't need these double doors. What I would like to do is to frame it in more securely with a standard size entry door and a small window for light, instead of basically in the place of these double doors, while keeping the look of the siding and the the color palette within the historic color palette.
Okay.
Most likely, I am going to stay with the existing color.
Okay.
But I'm not asking for any color changes outside of the historic color palette.
Madam Chair, are you ready for comments?
Yes, I am.
Mike, can y'all turn to sheet 3B? So the red addition on the back, you were talking about continuing the siding, look at the siding and the brick, and I'm just curious to why not extend that roof line in the same manner instead of going with the different slope? Looks like that would be more consistent look.
It would be more consistent, and I could if that was a stipulation. The drop to the angled roof is simply more for ease of construction. But if it was a stipulation to maintain the pitch of the roof the whole way through on that extension, that's not a problem. I'm happy to stay within that frame.
For me, it would be. I'm just one on the board, but for me, it would be.
Okay. That wall requires a significant amount of interior repair with the support 2x4s. So again, the bulk of this is that as long as I'm going to be expending time and money to do work to maintain the structure and keep it upright, these are just the changes I'm proposing to try to make the structure useful to me.
Is that door on that side, or do you plan on using it?
So I would like to probably just frame that in and replace and basically do a continuation of the siding that is there and add a window on that side. I really only need the door on the front and then the door to the addition, ultimately, if that's not a problem.
Any other questions from the board or comments?
I think I echo Cedric in terms of the roof and the continuation of the roof framing across the back of it. You're going to have a significant amount of work in terms of the bottom bricks if you go to 3B in terms of that foundation. Are your plans to, I'm assuming, are going to be to repair that foundation there, right, too, on that side of that building when you redo the walls?
So there is actually, it's on a concrete slab. There is no crawl space. It's a concrete slab, and the brick is more of a visual facade around the concrete slab, but the brick over time has fallen away. I do think that brick that is broken can be pulled out and a new brick or the current brick can just be remasoned in because it's basically detached from the slab and pulled away. I don't have any intention to pour a slab for the addition, but I would essentially maintain the visual appearance of the brick skirt and probably have a very small space between the flooring and the ground. But I would want to maintain the visual appearance of having the right continuation of the brick skirt. That's one of my, I think I mentioned that in the proposal.
Chair, can I just suggest, if you are going to suggest extending the existing roof line, do you want some differentiation between the original and the new part? That is one of the requirements of the Secretary of the Interior standards. You should be able to differentiate the addition from the original. So the addition as designed clearly does that. I just think if you want the existing roof line extended, there should maybe be a piece of trim or slightly different siding or something on the added on part so you can differentiate between them.
I actually like the lean-to shed. I think it's a pretty traditional thing that people do on outbuildings. It also reduces the profile, the height of this kind of gets over into the view that you have of the backyard from your deck and from your kitchen probably. And a lower form there would be less of a visual intrusion on your backyard than carrying the existing roof line over. I mean, it's not the original size of the outbuilding, or I don't know whether it was a garage or not. It's mighty small. My car might have fit in there, but yours won't.
I think I agree with Elizabeth on that, especially where you said you're going to leave like a dirt or earthwork kind of flooring, so you'll have like a kind of an open space below. I mean, that'll differentiate it too.
Engineer, architect, you know, we have these different opinions.
I would prefer, I have looked around in the area. I mean, it's not uncommon I have seen some additions with this
it's the most common thing in the world, really, yes.
I live in that, I'm in CAA also, walk the neighborhood many times a week, and it is common for an addition to have a slope like that. I've seen it just down the street from me. I certainly understand someone that would want to have, you know, an extension to follow the original roof line, but given that no one can see this, can they, Josh? I mean,
so you cannot see it.
This is on DeSoto.
It's on DeSoto. You cannot.
Yeah, that's a side street.
You cannot see it from DeSoto, and you honestly, really, the only two properties that this extension would be visible from is myself and the property directly behind it, 3202 LeBron, which is an investment property I own.
Which you own.
So I really can't see it being a visual eyesore for anybody but myself. And again, I'm, you know, all in all, I'm trying to preserve a significant building. So.
Well, it was one that just recently had to have one torn down and a new one built, which was not inexpensive. I commend you to try to save it.
Are there any comments from the audience?
Charlie Colvin with the Cloverdale Idlewild Association, the CIA. We have no objections to the project as it is proposed.
All right, thank you. If there are no other comments or suggestions about this project, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the project as presented.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? All right.
How many we have? What was the vote?
5 to 1.
Okay.
5 to 2.
5 to 2, so it doesn't pass.
No.
Yeah, it passes.
It passed.
Okay.
You only need
Okay.
5.
All right. All right.
Okay.
You're free to go.
Go and fix your building.
You're good.
Alonzio Webb, 2031 Ridge.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm representing our investment partners on 2031 Ridge Avenue, and we are here to basically right some of the construction violations, the partial violations that we have already incurred on the property with the proposals that we have in place. So this was a property that we came upon and it had significant damage to it already. It was, very dilapidated in many places, including the carport. So due to safety reasons, we moved in order to further inspect the property and went ahead and removed some of those preliminary hazards. Currently, you can see this is where we are in the project stage, holding short of the board's approval, shoring up the upstairs wood rot underneath the property with the 12 by 6s. We've removed some of the bush out of the place as well. The canopy, there we go. There's the sunroof and the what was a sunroom / covered carport, I believe. So those pillars really weren't supporting anything. So in order to get in there and to actually do the inspection, take care of everything as we needed to and inspect the property further, we had to remove that. It really wasn't safe to get on the roof or anything, so we brought that down. So what we're proposing from the board today is to go in and complete the finishing touches on the front, which would replace that old carport with a pergola. We've secured the water damage in the top areas on both sides with waterproof material flashing, and we've also removed the wood rot from the lower ends on both sides of the entryways to ensure that there's no more water flowing. There's no longer water flowing inside the property that can destroy any of the material any further. We would like to, which is actually one of the pieces that's not on here. So we had to remove the stucco from the outside that was coming down, that was falling down. So instead of replacing that stucco, we would like to repaint the brick that has already been painted with a light paint color that's approved by the board. That paint color is NHC 400-24. And that's the paint we would like to paint the entire property with after doing some more thorough cleaning. As you can see there, quite a bit of work done already, quite a bit more work to be done on the property. We also have landscaping that needs to be done, the driveways that need to be done. We're not going to be removing any windows, but resealing windows, painting the windows, shoring up the roof entryways where we've had some rodent problems in the roof lines, things like that. taking the brick, outlining the brick around the property to use that brick that came off of the building in the design of the landscape so that that holds the character of the landscape in there. This shed here, we would like to convert that shed, keeping the door on the right side, but on the left side, converting that space into a one-car garage and repainting that as well as the same color as the property with the approved paint color. In doing that, we will also have to go in and shore up that building as well, because as you can imagine, in the back side of that building, it's falling down, the boards are rotting, things like that. So we need to reframe, seal that building back up, and make it usable for a car garage and a feasible storage area. This is the backyard here. As you can see, we've already replaced the fence line there and got that secured. We're going to clean that up, that walkway in the back, and clear that up into a nicer courtyard look there. Secure the back door. Gutters. There are gutters on the property initially, so we've replaced those gutters with new gutters already. Let's see. That's pretty much the sketch here there of the front entryway, what it'll look like somewhat. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but under the pergola, there's a door that was there before. We've blocked that in or framed that in and replaced it with an actual entryway door instead of a glass patio door. And then that's the landscape plan, architectural landscape plan there. So replacing some of the driveway stone with new pebble, putting the bushes back in place with azaleas. We're gonna use azaleas on the property, crepe myrtle lined on the street side. And then as well, we're gonna use some azaleas next to the house there, as well as a centerpiece plant. I can't really remember the name of it, but it's a purple centerpiece plant there. And then use some smaller shrubs, smaller azaleas, and some ground covering plants to fill in some of the spaces there. And that is all I have.
That's a lot.
Yeah, quite the list.
So you're taking this, I have this outdoor pergola that's there down, and you're replacing it. And you said you're going to use 6x6 posts?
On the pergola?
Yeah.
It's going to be...
You have taken this down, you're not taking it down.
Yes, we've taken it down.
Yeah.
We've taken the...
It was in pretty bad shape, I agree with you.
Yes, ma'am. So we've taken it down. We're going to replace it with yes, the post will be 6x6 pergola kit. So
Okay.
we're ordering a kit in to replace it.
Okay.
And so it's roughly, the posts are roughly 6x6.
So it's not really going to attach to the house, it's just going to sort of sit where that pergola sat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any more comments from anybody up here? I remember when they did this work and it was really pretty, but you have to maintain things in order for this to stay pretty, and they did not.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So we're hoping to bring that character back.
Have you already replaced the door?
We did replace the door, however, we're going to be putting the original door back up.
Okay, because the one that looks here is kind of the one, what I thought was the replacement door looked a little modern.
Yes, ma'am. So that's the modern door that we bought originally, but we have the original door ready to be sanded, and it has to be stained and prepped. And
Okay,
everything
so
before
the
we
original
do that.
6-panel door will go back?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think it's an original door,
Oh,
but,
the one that was there prior?
yeah. Yep, it is original for him. Any comments from the audience about this project?
So I do have a comment from the Old Cloverdale Association. They have no objection to the proposal, indicated that they will count on the appropriate guidance from the ARB to ensure the design details of the work adhere to the aesthetics of the historic district, and they wish the homeowners well with the project.
So if you could go to 4J, the picture 4J. I just need to clarify in my mind. Is that where you're putting the garage door?
No, ma'am.
No.
So that's where the pergola will sit.
Yes.
There, that bottom of 4K is where the garage door will go.
Okay.
The left side, that large window there will be replaced by the garage door.
In the brown structure?
Oh, carport. What's that? This one here.
The bottom one, yeah.
Okay. I was thinking it was the other.
Oh, yeah, the other one will be it was a carport, now we'll have a pergola over it.
Okay, so you took the pergola away and then you'll replace it?
No, it was a carport before, a screened-in carport into like a somewhat of a sunroom. We took that away, and we're gonna add a pergola in.
Okay.
I've been doing this a long time, and everything you say sounds good. But I have gotten into trouble before by saying, oh yeah, do that, and then it not being what I had seen in my head was not what you saw in your head. I'm a little uncomfortable about not knowing what the pergola is going to look like and exactly where it's going to go. But I think that's something that probably the staff could look at, and we could go ahead and talk about. I mean, if there's no other problems with the rest of the project, we could approve that pending the approval of staff of the location of the pergola and the design of the pergola.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Do you have any preferences to materials for the pergola?
Well, they said it was going to be wood and metal.
Right.
I don't know where the metal is. Maybe is it the metal
It's in the
roof?
joint, so
The
there,
joints.
it comes with the metal kit, so the screws and the bolts for
Okay.
it is metal, and then
Okay.
the brackets to secure and stabilize it is black metal brackets, which
Okay.
we can paint those as
Okay.
well.
Is it a freestanding structure or is it going to be attached to the house?
It's going to be freestanding.
That's why I
So,
think the location of it, because
yeah.
does it have a roof or is it just going to be a pergola?
It's just going to be a pergola.
Okay, okay. Any other comments from the audience or from the board?
Do you think you can also provide a landscape plan?
It's in there.
Yeah, there is
sketched
one.
out there.
4N.
4N, yeah.
Maybe so. It's too close to what it
Little.
is. It needs to be about a pathway width away from the house. All right, if there are no further comments, can we construct a motion?
I'll try. All right.
Thank you.
If it's all right with the board members, I move that we approve the plan as presented with the condition upon plans for the location, design, the colors of the pergola being submitted to the staff for their review. And if the staff believes that they should be forwarded to the board, then we'll just have to reset and have you come in possibly and answer more questions about the location and design. I think everything else. Were there any other concerns of the board?
I was fine with the rest of it.
Ma'am?
I said I was fine with the rest of it. I just didn't want to approve something I
Right,
wasn't
well,
sure
and I
understood.
understand, and I know that the landscaping design was hand done and whatnot, but I've been by this home several times. I walk in this area. And again, commend y'all for taking on this project. I know it's huge, and I know it's not cheap. But with that stipulation that plans for the location, design, and materials of the pergola be submitted to staff for review and approval, I move that we approve the plan or approve this application as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Michael Nicholson and Layla Khan, 1300 Magnolia Curve.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
My name is Mike Nicholson. I'm here on behalf of myself and my wife, Layla Khan. We bought this home in 2020. It's the first home for us, and we're really excited. We love the neighborhood. We've worked really hard on the house, and we had big dreams of fixing up the guest house. But unfortunately, every contractor we've tried to work with has told us that it just wasn't salvageable unless we had some sort of deeper report. So we commissioned a report from some engineers from Auburn who came, and their recommendations were pretty much the same. The structure was built along with the house, I think, in like 1928, from what I could tell. And in like the 70s, they had a second story added and converted into living quarters for people who were helping around the house. And they didn't change the foundation. And so the front right corner of the foundation is completely sunk in. One of the pictures I took shows that the floor level inside is actually like a good 2 feet lower than the ground level outside. So it's constantly filled with water. And we finally found a contractor who was willing to demolish it and renovate the area. And down the line we have plans to submit and combine that area with our yard and make it look real nice with a nice fence. Our neighbor across the street has a really nice setup that maybe we could hope to achieve someday. And I talked to my neighbors about it, and only one neighbor can see the building, and they're fine with it.
Okay. Comments from the board?
I've been in this house. It's a gorgeous house, and it's very beautiful. And I've been in this structure. It did not match the beauty of the house. I want to say that the foundation where cars would have been in had sunken in a good 6-8 inches. And while to do something sounds wonderful, I think it also probably was beyond repair.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was 4 or 5 years ago, so.
Yes, ma'am. When we moved in, we knew it would need work. I think we were a little bit naive, to be honest. We had big hopes about fixing it up and, making it beautiful, but at this point, we just don't see how that would be possible.
It would be nice if it's deemed unsalvageable to go ahead and make sure you got, like you have this plan right here, and take photos of all the sides. So if someone wanted to recreate it in the future, there's a history there.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And one of the dreams, I guess, that I have is that we could save as much of the brick as possible and incorporate that into the new area, maybe like a patio. I love the history. I don't give up easily, and I spent a lot of time trying to find folks who would work on this, and it just, after 4 years, it just isn't safe.
Well, and I was going to recommend if you could save the brick, either donate it or use it on a future project because it looks good. I mean, I like it, but as Katie said, sometimes, these structures nearly 100 years old that were not done right, and unfortunately, you've done your due diligence and gone and talked to people, and if it can't be saved, it can't be saved. and that's unfortunate. But again, commend you for doing it right, and hopefully in the future, you and your wife can come together, maybe
Well, I would have a hard time saying.
raise a new phoenix from the ashes.
Yes, sir. We plan to be here for a while, so.
And if you take photos of all 4 elevations before it comes down, can you submit them to Sean and he can put them in the file in the office? If you just email copies of the photos to Sean.
Yes, sir. You said elevation, pictures of the elevation?
Yeah, he's just referring to each wall.
Each side.
Each side
front
of
face,
the,
yeah.
of the
Yeah,
structure.
all 4 sides, so they can know the heights, widths for future reference.
Thank
I
you.
would have a hard time saying that this building is eligible for the National Register because it was modified so recently and poorly, so that it destroyed what building it was that would have been eligible for the National Register. So, any comments from the audience? All right, then I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes?
just a comment from the Old Cloverdale Association again. They have no objection to the proposal and wish the homeowners well with the project.
All right. A motion?
I move to approve as submitted with the exception that pictures are taken of all 4 sides of the building and submitted to staff for inclusion in the file.
Okay.
And good luck.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Nicholson.
Thank you all.
Cedric.
I look forward to bringing a proposal to build something soon.
Look forward to seeing you.
Deborah Hall, 2511 College Street, Old Cloverdale.
Good evening. I'm Deborah Hall. I'm actually district rep for the Old Cloverdale Association. I live on College Street. I'm representing Holly Erickson King. She's the owner of 2511 College Street. For those of you familiar with it, it's Maryann Neely's old house. And she's been working very closely with the Historic Preservation Coordinator, Sean Rose, from the beginning, before she even hired Top Hat Chimney to look at her chimney, which she wanted to restore the fireplace. And it was going to be quite extensive work, brickwork, thousands of dollars. So Top Hat has suggested that she not have the gas logs that she was requesting, and she's going to go with electric logs. So she's asking permission to just cap off the top of the chimney to keep the rain out, and she's also having it weatherproofed. And that is on page 2, is the description of what she wants to do. So it's weatherproofing the exterior with flashing and then just capping off the chimney top. And then there's an example. I think we should have an example of the picture of the proposed cap.
There's a pretty good picture of one, like in here.
So question, who took the pictures off the roof? Was it you?
I know.
That'd be scary.
Maybe it was Mr. Top Hat that
It's right
did it.
there.
Yes.
No, actually. She has done a major renovation on the house, and she's been following everything through the Historic Preservation's guidelines with Sean Rose, actually. And so she's anxious to settle in.
All right, we have these 2 vents in the side of the chimney. These arch-shaped vents in the side of the chimney. Do they open? They go all the way through. Are they open to the flue?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Because it's important that you still have circulation of air inside the chimney.
Right.
And as long as those are open, that will be fine. So a cap on the top of the chimney is not going to affect that.
In fact, it was Top Hat Chimney to make sure that she went to ARB for the cap.
Okay. Good for Top Hat.
Yes.
Any comments from the audience?
So I have comment from, do I have a comment? Yes, from Old Cloverdale Association. They have no objection to the proposal and wish the homeowners well.
All right. Any other comments from the board? Motion?
I move to approve as submitted.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you. Sean Stable, 797 Felder Avenue.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We recently just purchased this house, and upon inspection, we're told that most of the wood railings around the property in some sort of fashion had rot. And talking to our next door neighbor, they have seen previous owners deal with the rot as well over the years. So our proposal is to replace the wood railing with aluminum, and then paint it white and keep the design the exact same as what is there now, just replace it with aluminum. So that is, that's a drawing from our fabricator of the typical design that we see on the house that he is going to fabricate for us.
Your house is not 30 inches off the ground, is it? More than 30 inches off the ground? It looks like it's about 2 feet, maybe?
Yes, ma'am, probably.
Okay.
It's 3 bricks, so 3 times. Yeah, it's.
Maybe 24.
21 to 24.
I don't have any objection to replacing the railing, and you've done a nice job, or somebody has, designing a new railing that looks exactly like the old one. I don't have any problem with replacing that's on the second story, that's on the roof, with that. But, and other people may feel differently, but I like for things that people are actually going to touch and see to really still feel like the original house. And I would prefer, although I can be, browbeaten and just accepting something else, I would prefer that the bottom remain wood and then replace that's really exposed to the weather on all sides all the time with the metal one.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite houses on the street.
It's beautiful.
I love driving by it.
Yes. So I want to keep the integrity of the house without, because rot can cause a lot of damage. So I don't want to further inflict any damage and also deal with this year in and year out.
And we have 2 small children, and we don't want them falling through the rotten rails on the bottom floor.
I don't want that either.
Pardon me. And I can understand your concern, Madam Chair, but this is not like they went to Lowe's, bought some aluminum tubing and are going to stick it up. You're going to have it actually fabricated to look like it. You're going to have it prime painted, powder painted.
Yes, sir. It's going to be powder coated white.
If you were holding a piece of the wood and the aluminum and asked me to tell the difference, I probably couldn't. I certainly understand wanting to keep things original, and in a lot of cases, I think I might go the other way and agree. In this case, however, it's a large house, and rot can happen anywhere. Sometimes very quickly.
Other people think it's okay.
So
I'm willing to go along with it, really.
I think it's a good alternative.
I think it'd be,
in this case.
I don't know.
Maybe not every case.
All right.
Madam Chair, I side with you on this one. I think the wood on the bottom would be a good placement. I can live with the aluminum on top. I think that's a good compromise.
Okay.
I can go either direction. Personally, I feel like with the aluminum and the fact that it's being fabricated, I'm okay with it, the aluminum. But I do understand the point about the historic nature of this house in particular and maintaining the wood that's there. You said you have small kids up.
2 and 4.
Okay. Are they ever going to be up on, because it looks like you do have a door that gives access to that balcony on the top. Are they ever going to be up there?
Not on the front of the house, but potentially the back of the house because it is more of a porch area. But the front of the house, we're probably those are their bedrooms. So I'm going to try to keep that secured so they can't get out there.
Okay, because one thing I will say is if you think about current code and current code today, this won't meet current code. And it's not going to meet code specifically for the reason that a child will be able to get through these openings. Right. Okay? So I'm just making that statement known. Now, I think I completely agree with what you have shown here, but for me, from a safety standpoint, just throwing this out there, I would be okay with a piece of plexi or something between, like, at least where the kids would be placed in the inside that isn't seen. I'm talking about the second floor, on the second floor to so that wouldn't happen, to create a safety feature for the kids. That's 100% just me stating that. I don't know what any of our other members of the board
You do need to
think
keep
about
in
that.
mind that rail would not meet code for height or for the penetration on
yeah.
the second floor.
So what
should you
she's
want to
saying
use
is that like a 4-inch ball is not supposed to be able to go through the opening, and it looks like a basketball could go through there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
They are not to code.
So since there is doors and stuff up there, I was just stating that because that's an easy way to kind of allow you to have the design of there but meet code.
So like a pre-approval for plexiglass if we ever feel like we need to secure that more.
I'm okay with that as long, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I was just thinking about that as a solution.
I would
when
just
was
say if
looking at
someone
this.
can't see it, they really can't complain about it, can
That's
they?
true.
I like that.
I don't know, I believe they probably can, but we wouldn't pay any
Oh, somebody will
attention
find
to it.
something to complain about. Come on, it's Alabama. But
All right. Any comments from the audience?
So, Madam Chair, this did, the staff recommendation did cause some questions from the Old Cloverdale Association about staff recommending approval of the replacement materials in this case, since wood is readily available. They have no objection, though, to the project, and indicated they would rely on staff and the ARB for their design guidance in this case, and wish the homeowners well for the project.
All right. If there are no further comments, can we have a motion?
Well, I do have a comment. Another
Okay,
option
thank
you
you.
could do on the first floor is use the aluminum for the body of it, but use a shaped wood top
rail.
cap.
I was actually going to say that, but then I didn't know if that sounded I'm not a construction person, so
I can
I
talk
think
to
that would
our
be better.
fabricator
So
about
the item you would touch would have that warmth of wood. I mean, you could even kind of give it a mahogany color to match your door, I think.
Yep.
Kind of.
I would be okay with that because that's not the part that's rotting. It's those joints that
All
are
those
rotting.
little pieces in the bottom that is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
problem.
I think that's a good idea.
You like that?
I like that.
I'm gonna try.
can you fashion that?
Okay. I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Unless you
On your
want
years
to.
of
No,
experience.
no, y'all lost me somewhere.
Okay.
It's in my area.
All right, I move to approve I move to approve the aluminum on the upper floor, balconies, okay? And I move to approve the first floor railings with the exception that the handrail that's physically touched be constructed of wood in lieu of aluminum. And we also, and shaped for a handrail, okay? The shaped handrail at the top of the wood section.
All right.
Okay.
do we want to paint that white as well, or keep it like a dark stain to match the door?
We would approve either a stain to match the door or to be painted the same color.
Okay.
All right, I'll second that.
All right. All in favor? Any opposed? All right.
Thought we could just say
Thank you.
Thank you.
get them all.
Jean Mahan, 10 Howard Street.
Hi, we're here to get approval for a privacy fence.
You
on
need
the-
to adjust the microphone so that it'll
Sorry.
pick up your voice. That's okay.
Is that better?
Yes, it is,
Okay.
much.
We're here to get approval for a privacy fence on the Court Street side of the property.
Okay.
I believe there's some pictures that were submitted.
Shows where the posts are.
Yeah, my apologies, I didn't realize I needed to get approval for this. If you fast forward through to the old metal fence, which is gonna be probably 3 or 4 more pictures in.
For 8A, I believe.
Well, yeah, it's hard to see here. The metal fence that was right on the sidewalk.
Yes, I remember
was
it.
in very poor repair, covered with weeds,
Mhm.
mangled. And 6 or 7 months ago, someone panicked coming out of the church across the street and rammed through it with a car. so it's pretty much dead. And we decided we wanted to increase the security and privacy of the property and we thought the look by leaving the trees in place and putting the fence in a location at the top of the berm there, so that, and just have a level top of the fence line. So the fence is, I think it's 6 feet, and then it'll be a little bit taller at the south end of the property because the property drops off a little bit towards the property line. And if you don't have those pictures, I printed some things out I can hand to you.
Well, I can tell to the right, is there a fence or a gate there, something right there to the right of it? Looks like somebody clipped it very good.
Well, in the process of putting this together, we discovered a set of brick stairs. So we adjusted the fence to have a break in it at the place where the stairs are.
Amazing what you find sometimes in your yard.
They were completely buried. I'm not sure how they got found, but
I found a small brick patio in the back of my yard after living there for three years.
I mean,
had no idea it was there.
Yeah, 4 or 5 brick stairs heading up to the level part of the property. So we've uncovered them completely and are planning to, leave a break. Now we might put a gate there, but this isn't really a security fence because it just goes along the west side of the property.
And you say the fence line some of the fence will be taller, but the top of the fence will be straight across because apparently there is some slope in the property.
Yeah, can I hand you some pictures?
We're familiar with this. We've approved such things before. I mean, I think it's better that you certainly don't want your top of your fence to start sloping down like that.
Correct. That's the whole point. So the fence line's level, but the bottom of the fence, it'll be taller.
Yeah, another foot or two
for the top of the fence line to be level.
Make it look good. Yeah. Understood.
Trying to make the neighborhood and my property look better.
Certainly understand.
Do you show the fence that you're planning to put up?
I have some. I submitted some things, but it was last minute, so I've got printouts here that I could hand to you folks.
What's the material? Is it just going to be pressure treated pine?
Something like that.
Do you intend to pressure treated pine? Do you intend to paint it or just let it kind of?
My contractor's here. I'll have
to
speak to that.
Good evening, Mike Allen with Patriot Land Service. So yes, it's going to be pressure treated pine.
Do you plan to paint it or just let it naturally kind of
my
fade?
neighbors have a privacy fence and theirs is pretty much the same as what we're planning to do.
Okay, yeah. Well, if you decide to paint it, please either use a palette color or come ask us.
We may be painting the buildings at some point, but we're just going to use something right off the palette.
Understand.
What would be the total height of the fence?
How tall?
So the way we have it right now if you're looking at that picture to the south side, which would be just across from the school, what he was describing earlier is it's kind of a slope.
Right.
A huge drop off. So the idea is to be taller on that end, up to 12 feet because of the drop off. But the top again would be level. If you drive by it right now, it doesn't look like that because the posts we literally got the stop order and stopped.
Okay.
Right.
Will that height require a zoning variation?
I didn't hear what, I couldn't understand what you said was the height.
12 feet.
Yeah, and so
at the highest point.
At its highest point, correct, but the top's going to be level because the hill tapers. So if you were looking at the fence from the school across the street, the property on the far left right there is up here, and it's tapering down.
What would the height be at its lowest point?
The height of this main section here. 6 feet.
Other than the drop off, you're going to have approximately 6 feet. Yeah, assuming 6 feet.
Well, 6 feet is the max. That's standard now. Understand?
Correct.
As you slope down, you want to keep the top of the you want to keep the fence.
Absolutely.
Line. 12 feet. So it drops about 6 feet.
Can I just?
Sure.
It'll make better sense there. And again, if you drive by the property right now, it wouldn't appear that way because the posts were set and we had not cut them. But once we got the stop order, we stopped. Literally paused in time.
So you just have a pretty significant slope there toward the end.
Yeah, it's basically it's where bamboo was growing in the back, and it's like a washout. And so the alternative to that I wanted to present to the ARB is if we didn't like the 12 feet, we could still get to that same intent by keeping it roughly around 8 feet down there, and then maybe at the bottom, just maybe taper it off with something to blend in that would just keep varmints, pests, trespassers out, but it would still look aesthetically pleasing that way.
I think that the height of fences is not our point. I mean, we're not allowed to tell you, like, we can tell you like 4 feet or something. But we, at that height, I think that goes beyond what the city zones for, but I'm not sure.
You'd have to go to the Board of Adjustment.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys review and give approval for the fence, then you can come in and show us exactly what you're doing, and then we can determine if a variance is required.
And I understand that. I mean, a majority is going to be 6 feet, which is standard and maximum. It's only toward the end. You're just going to adjust the height of the fence to keep the fence line.
And again, I believe.
And we've done that before. I know.
I can't speak for my client, but if the height is the issue and we wanted something more aesthetically pleasing, then we could, taper off to where it's not a drop off; it's a curved taper.
Right.
Yeah, but that'd be a different board to
So
approve that.
if I could just clarify a little bit regarding the variance, this is a required street side yard on this property, so it's really limited to 3 feet in height, so a variance will be required with this design. So, yeah, and I've informed the
So they need to go to the Board of Adjustment regardless?
Yeah, pretty much. With the way it is currently, yeah, there will be a variance required from the Board of Adjustment.
But I mean, we can either give approval, not approval, and if we approve it, I guess they can then go to the Board of Adjustment to get approval to...
We're already speaking to them about getting a variance.
Yeah. I sometimes I kind of forget who has to act first, because, I mean, we've had this before where people have asked to do something, but then they're going to need a variance for the Board of Adjustment to do it, and
The Board of Adjustment wants to know what we think before they make a decision. I think
that's
is the way it goes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Are you putting any gates in the fence?
Are we going to include a gate here where the stairs are?
Yes, so right there where he's talking about that we had discovered what looked like a 2-step stairway. It actually is a full stairway now. We excavated that out and discovered the old, old style original home staircase. And so there's going to be a gate set back approximately 5 steps up. It's going to be, I believe I've got it staked out for a 4-foot gate. And we can either do, right now we've got it staked out for wood, but again.
Just the same kind of wood as the fence?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. This is, it's on a street. It's not a backyard. Usually we approve these kind of fences for backyards. And a stockade fence, if what you're talking about doing is a vertical board fence that has a chamfered edge, a stockade kind of fence.
Like a dog ear?
Dog ear, boards.
Correct.
Yes. All right, not appropriate for this building or on a street. So we need to either, what would go with this building would be a horizontal board fence. You don't see them much anymore, but in the 50s and the 60s.
We just installed one.
Okay.
In McGee Estates.
All right, that kind of fence would be appropriate for this building, or put a piece of trim over the top, cut all the boards if you want to trim them off even, or put a piece of trim across the front top of the fence that just covers up the dog ears.
Okay.
On the front side. And
that sounds good to me.
I don't really care which one you do.
Or options, if those are approvable actions by the ARB, then those are both possible with the current codes the way they are.
Okay, that's good. All right, anything else? Any comments from the audience?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Is there a stipulation with regard to the zoning on the horizontal fences, the spacing in between? Is most of the homeowners that I've chosen to do horizontal fences?
I'm having a hard time hearing you. That's all right.
Horizontal spacing, is there a requirement within the city for spacing between the boards? A lot of times the horizontals, people will space them 2 to 3 inches. Some people put them back to back.
The only
I
one
want to be sure just in case we're approved.
The only one I can think of that we have in the district, it's one of those where they kind of wove the boards. So really, the boards are kind of close together, but you have some spaces because you can see.
So they did shadow box style.
Yeah,
Got it.
I think you'd want them fairly close together so people don't use it as a step to jump over.
That horizontal fence is on the corner of Hull and Clanton.
I'm familiar.
In a side yard, so. It's not like I don't go down there every day. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is this on? I'm Christina Cadden, Guard District Preservation Association President. We don't have a problem necessarily with the fence itself. The issue we have is the height difference going from 6 to 12 feet. And really the main issue we have, and you can't really see in this picture, is if you look over where they took that tree out, I believe they should, yeah, so like, if you looked at this picture that he's shown, I believe instead of going the fence all the way down, they should be bringing the earth up. So build in that space that you took the tree out from and build in this space so that it's leveled up.
Absolutely.
That would look a lot less jarring.
Sort of create a berm.
Yeah, because when the reason why is the dirt itself is pretty level and then goes down where it divots out. So instead of trying to make the fence fit into that space, I think it would look a lot more appealing to bring in earth to level that out so then you can continue the whole way down with that side. Otherwise, it really looks like massively tall as 12 feet, and that's a huge difference.
Yeah, a 12
Yeah,
foot
and he's
fence
saying that
too,
that's doable, and we're fine with it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so just a comment. So Ms. Catton is absolutely right with regard to the height. It does, it's a little bit intimidating to somebody driving by. So if we got approval for the, basically fill in that back a little bit, raise it up, you still need a swell because that's a natural swell in the back. You can raise the swell and also install some form of drainage pipe, probably like a triple wall or something like that to bring it out. And then just spit out right up under the fence, and then it's a little bit more discreet. You keep everything around 6 foot. You may have to deviate by maybe a half a foot or so, but I think your concern is the drastic difference.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe anything over 6 feet needs a Board of Adjustments. And you would probably face the same exact issue that they're having is it's pretty easy to build the floor up as opposed to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. What do we have besides the fence? Wasn't there something else here? Paint? Red paint?
That's another application.
That wasn't us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the fence for this property.
All right.
Madam Chair, I just
Yes.
think that the 6-foot fence along that stretch of Court Street is just going to be intrusive. That's just me, but that just seems overbearing. That vertical fence being 6 feet tall is just, the chain link fence right across the street that Lanier had was bad enough. That 6-foot width fence to me just is going to look out of character, but that's just my comments.
Part of the reason for the fence is that we had a lot of nuisance foot traffic walking through the center of the property that was problematic for the property and for the tenants. So that was part of the reason we wanted the fences, to keep the foot traffic out, because it is a security problem. We have.
I am glad you're going back with a wood fence versus the chain link fence that was there. So I do like the wood fence.
It looks so much better than.
So, and I also like the idea of the berm to keep the fence relatively level, a 12-foot high fence was kind of intimidating, I agree. Also, you worry about wind loads and all that, that thing could get sucked off. You don't want that. The height of the 6-foot fence versus 5 foot, I mean, I could be swayed. And it sounds like you have to go to the Board of Adjustments anyways, because they say 3 foot. Now, 3 foot probably won't do it for you. But
Well, I think it's more the setback, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's those two issues.
Both of them, okay.
Yeah, it's, there's a required street side yard, and this is on Court Street, so, yeah, either way, it will require that variance.
And there has been, that area has had several higher fences being put in.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a terrible problem with the 6 foot.
I'd be happier if it was 4, but I can understand the 6. And the scale of the buildings that are on this lot will support a 6, and the fact that it's not right up on the sidewalk. I wouldn't want a 6-foot fence on the sidewalk.
It's not a single residential.
No, it's not. It's different.
18-unit multifamily.
It's already not like the others, so we can just... Any other comments or questions? All right, a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move that we approve the plan as presented, provided that the proper top of the fence, in keeping with your comments, and also that the berm be filled in, and that the fence, understand the fence will stay contiguous on the side, but the berm, instead of the 12-foot fence, the berm will be filled in and would allow much less height on that end.
Yes.
And pending other approvals by the city.
Of course, this approval is pending the approval of the Board of Adjustment, City of Montgomery.
Can we also add that the actual design of the fence panels needs to be approved by the staff? Okay.
Sure.
In addition, the fence panels must be approved by staff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed, same sign.
Hillary?
I'm sustaining.
Okay. So that's 5, 1, and 1. Motion
Okay.
passes.
You may build your fence.
Thank you.
All right. Mary Ellen Barbie, 1745 South Court Street, the Garden District.
Hi, good evening. We are the Barbies, Mary and Milton Barbie. When we obtained this property in 2022, it was like a miracle. And we thank God for letting us be here in Montgomery. We thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to be here, because we want to apologize because we're in violation of the just lack of knowing what we needed to do before we made any decisions to go forward to do anything. And we are requesting for approval to finish, retain the red color paint on the stairs that we have in the doors and the frame on the buildings. We have had we've had some situation with the property, and so we've taken the stance of praying for this property constantly, angels watching over our property. We anointed the doors with the oil, and so we've chosen the blood of Jesus to help us to keep this property in a situation where it can be a quiet, clean, reasonable living quarters. And we thank you.
Comments?
So you're painting the doors and the stairs?
Yes. We had rust, the railings. This property's been more or less vacant for about a year now, and it's been a lot of deterioration with the metals and the grass, and the stairs itself was dirty. it needed work. We needed to have some bond, Rust-Oleum, and to repair what has, you know, so it won't get any worse.
I don't necessarily I don't have an issue with the fact that you painted. That's not, I think, the concern. I think the concern in general that I have is that the red seems intrusive on this building in the historic district, especially located at the stairs and the location of the stairs, and then also on the doors. So I think it doesn't necessarily fit the historic nature that we're sitting in, or the fabric area that it's at. And I think that the black actually blended in and kind of also gave you contrast versus the red. And so I know that the red is also not a pre-approved color on the palette. And so I would have preferred a darker color, either the black or a bronze, one of those colors that was off of the palette.
I tend to agree. It's a whole lot of red. And it's kind of a firehouse red. I kind of like the idea of the doors being bronze, and I don't mind the stairs being kind of a color. It's kind of like the lady with her pink door. I mean, it gives a little pop of color. But I think with the amount of stairs and all, that's maybe too bright a red. Maybe more of a rusty red would be a better solution if you wanted not to go with the bronze color, because I can see also wanting to have a little pop of little zip there. But,
I believe over the years this red will sort of tone down. With the sunlight, it does seem bright. The color we chose is it's not as bright as it looked. I mean, from the palette. Anyway, we did the well, it's the red.
that's just my thought, guys. What do y'all have any thoughts?
Well, first I said I hated it, and then the more I looked at it, the more I didn't mind it.
But I don't like the red doors. But the red doors and the red steps is a whole lot of red.
I was going to say, I mean, I like Madam Chair, I kind of looked at it, and it does kind of, you know, initially kind of, I guess, shock you, but the more I looked at it, I thought, you know, the railing, I mean, the stairs. Now, I do think the doors and the jambs and the door frames might be a bit much, but as far as the stairs go, the railing, I mean, I know it's red, but in this particular instance, so the railing and the stairs. Now, again, the doors, I think the doors need to be tone that down a different color, maybe the original color repaint, but I don't have a problem with the stairs.
Do you have an actual sample of the color? Because what I see on the screen and what I see on
the pictures.
Yeah, we're having a Gala Pink moment here.
The color palette.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't look like fire engine red.
Yeah, it's not as orange as this, but it's certainly not as pink as that.
Yeah, the sunlight is.
I mean, that's.
It's still red.
Again, I'm a guy, I only know 7 original colors. It kind of looks like a more of a, it looks like it's got a little smoke to it, or a little,
like a little corn
it's
red.
not fire engine red. Which, if you look at the pictures, maybe it's
Yeah. What I see on my screen is like Crayola red.
My thing is you're looking at a high gloss paint, okay, that is in that color, and to me, it is bright and intrusive. And while I can appreciate what you said, Katie, about having a differential in color and it not just being black, I think this just goes to a level of being so bright and so intrusive that it just does not fit into the fabric and looks like something that just sticks out.
It's awful bright.
And so, and I understand that you picked the color from Sherwin-Williams and those chips, and we see this a lot where people can pick a chip, and when it finally gets on a wall, especially, you can put it on all 4 sides of a house, and depending on the side of that house that gets the light, okay, depending on the time of day, it will totally change the color.
I nearly painted the water tank lavender when I thought I was picking out gray ones.
Yes, because it just will change the tint, and I think that that's what's happened to you guys, and I hate it, but for me, the red's just too much.
Is there some kind of reddish, like darkish reddish color on the historic palette?
Like a burgundy?
Or like a rust?
Yeah, there's more of like a sort of brown or khaki-ish color, but yeah, not really red. Black would be okay though. It's not, black is like, was added recently to the palette for like trim areas.
So Madam Chair,
Yes.
I had an issue with the red door earlier, and
Yes.
so I expect to have an issue with this one. I don't understand if we were okay with the red door earlier, how we're not okay with this one. So that's my only thing.
I don't
But
mind-
trust me, I
I don't-
have an issue with this,
All
just
right.
like I did the door.
Well, it's like the stair and the doors together is like a whole lot of red.
The stairs are
So-
too much for me.
so
The
one or
doors
the
are not
other?
too much for me.
So you're saying one or the other?
One or the other.
Okay.
You know, once you've done the work to paint it, you've cleaned it, you've gotten rid of the rust, you've done all that. Putting another coat on top of this is not nearly as much trouble as it was doing all that work that you did in the beginning. It's like you've done your prep work already. But
Gotta do something.
the color of the colors that we've got on this building here, the pictures, the bronze looks the best to me because it looks like they looked at that flashed brick there and picked something that went with it. That's the one that looks the most appropriate to the building and the time period that it was built. I really don't have any problem with you painting the doors red, but I think the railings are a ship too far for me.
Cedric, just so we have it on the record, okay? I hear you, okay? I think for me, the difference between when we're looking at, and so this is, I think everybody needs to hear this. For me, when I'm looking at the houses and stuff, and we said, hey, red door earlier, I was also looking at the style of the door.
Yes.
And the style of the door being, I mean, it was either 6 or an 8 light door, at least half of it was glass.
Yes.
So it minimizes the amount of color that's physically going on there too. So that's what doesn't stick out. It's just one little tiny bit of color that's in here when a majority of it is toned down. So that's why I was okay with the door earlier versus if they were to say, hey, it was a solid door, then I would have been less, I mean, I would have questioned it a little bit more than I did, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Is there any comment from the audience on this project? Thank you.
Hello, Christina Cadden, GDPA president. First, I want to say thank you both for being such amazing neighbors. We're at 1616 across the street. Yep, remember us. I discussed with my board, and they do not recommend the red and are not happy with the red. So we kind of, after listening to what y'all are talking about with the red door itself, I don't think that the red doors necessarily are the problem. It's the railings. And it's not so much, you know, we had a discussion that if there was only maybe 1 to 2 of them, it would be okay. But with the amount of railings that it is, in contrast to the brick being a red shade, it's just a lot. And so we would recommend painting the railings, I mean, either black or similar to what was originally there. I think that's probably a black that was faded.
I think it's bronze.
Blue, bronze?
Yeah.
Bronze.
Something in that shade, if you really, you know, I love the story of why you chose the red. So if, you know, we would be okay if you wanted to keep the red doors. But the GDPA can't approve the red as is. That's just our recommendation. So.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Glenn Benes, Garden District, 1349 South Perry. I'm in this area all the time, and I think the red, it's just too much. The door probably would look really good red, but it's just way too much red. I think the bronze would be better.
Any other comments on this project? Someone willing to take on doing a motion?
Well, I think we need to remember, Madam Chair, that this is a violation, and I think the standard is, in considering this, the question is, if the petitioner had come before us requesting this before doing it, would we have approved it or not? And I have to remind myself of that sometimes, regardless of how the finished product may have come out. And I'm looking at now, I've realized there are balconies that have been painted, and also some have, some haven't. So, given that the issue, the question for the board is, would this have been approved had it come before us? And listening, I mean, there are several different opinions about how it is now, I believe. And not all of the doors and not all of the stairs have been painted. Is that right, ma'am? I mean, there are some that have, I guess y'all got stopped in the midst
Yes, that's
of
correct.
it.
Yeah, I would say maybe 60% is painted.
Okay.
But actually, only one door is painted, and that other has he was covering up some graffiti on the other door.
Okay, so only one door has been painted?
Mm-hmm.
And then one that has covered some graffiti. So you don't, okay. And again, I commend you on this project and this neighborhood and this area, but had this come before the board, I would have made a motion like I will now that your request to paint it red and the doors and the frames be denied. Not that they couldn't be painted, they need to be painted, especially the railing. I mean, rust, whatnot, it's got to be repaired. But the color, I think, is, given the number of units you have, is, as we've said earlier today, that's just a lot of red. So my motion would be to deny the request.
Second.
Would you repeat the motion for me, please?
The motion was to, again, the standard being, once the violation has occurred, that the board would, the issue is, would we have approved this had it come before the board, the request come before the board, prior to the work being done, in this case, prior to the stairs being and balconies being painted? Had the petitioners come before us, would we have approved it?
I think I would have approved a colored door, but bronze stairs.
Okay, let me ask this. Let me withdraw my previous motion.
All right.
Because we are talking about two things. We're talking about stairs, balconies, and doors. How about we break it down?
All right.
All right. Let's go with stair. You want to do doors first? Okay, let's do doors. Petitioner has requested permission. How many units do you have, ma'am? How many units do you have?
Oh, how many units? Oh, we have 22 units.
Okay. I don't know why I wanted to know that, but I knew you had a lot of units. Okay. We'll do the doors first. I move to deny petitioner's request to paint the doors and door frames red.
Second.
Wait a minute. Well, I mean, if that motion's not made, then y'all can make a motion to approve it.
And just a reminder, we need a reason for a denial when you all do a motion to deny.
Because it's not on the palette, and I don't think it's in keeping with the
I would be careful of using that as a reason if you're going to approve one thing and not the other.
Okay. Oh, well. Okay, forgive me, I retired a few years ago, so making motions, hadn't practiced law in a while.
We're gonna have to recruit a new lawyer to the
How about
board.
somebody make a motion?
So can we make a
Somebody
motion?
Make a motion down there.
Can we make a motion that will help them out?
Yes, you can.
And so,
please.
Hillary, can you help me? Because you know I'm not in favor of the painting, but if we can work with them on the doors or the railings, one or the other.
Well,
I can't, because I can't do that, because
Okay.
I'm denying all of it, and I'm sorry.
Yes,
All right, let me try it this way. I don't know how many people are in favor.
And I just
of
said Hillary because someone that was in favor of the pop color, someone that knows what pop looks like.
Can I make a motion to approve the red doors as submitted?
Second. All in favor?
You only got 4.
Opposed? All right.
It's 4-3, the motion fails.
All right.
Okay. All right.
So since that, I figured that's the only thing that we would have
I'm
approved.
sorry, I don't understand what just happened.
It's still going on. It's still going on.
It's still going on.
It's still
You don't
going
have
on.
to worry about anything yet.
But it was 4 in favor and 3 was against.
It takes
You have to
5.
have, it takes 5.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, yeah. But we're still working. We're still
Okay,
working.
okay, I understand, okay.
All right, how about,
That's correct.
I think the red's off the table for the balconies and stairwells. Good.
All right, then it's an easy motion.
So I move to deny the request as submitted on the base of the architectural fabric in the community and the color.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
4-3.
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get against?
Oh, yeah, I'm against.
Wait a minute. I had 4 approved.
And 3 against.
I just saw 4
Yeah,
against.
four
I'm
raised their
confused.
hand for against.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
So who is in opposition to the motion to deny?
Opposition to the motion.
No, who's in favor of the motion?
So what was the
Start
motion
over.
again? What was
I
the motion?
move to deny the request as submitted on the base of the historic nature and fabric in which this is located in the color.
I seconded the motion.
All right. All in favor of denying the project?
3.
Okay.
Those against? 4. Got it.
All right, we're trying to help you out here. So
I appreciate it.
my thought is, I like the idea of the rails and the columns in the front. You've got 11 of these guys to remain a bronze or black color. And then
Okay.
I also like the idea of the doors being a contrasting color, so it adds a bit of pop. I don't know if red's the right color. You could, I think a darker red or a contrasting bronze or whatever works for you. The pink, Gala pink, no. So can we agree that the here's a motion. Can I do a motion?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I do a motion. Okay. That the rails and walkways that are currently shown as red should be painted a bronze or black color.
I don't think can we be that prescriptive about it?
Yes.
Okay.
You want me to throw, well,
Kate, does that motion include the doors or just the railing and the
I'm leaving the
column?
doors out of
You're
it
leaving
right
the
now.
doors out right now?
We're just talking
Okay.
about the rails.
what about the balconies? Are you talking about the
I'm
balconies?
talking about the whole shebang. The rails, the balconies. Yeah, as it was, it used to be kind of a bronzy color and I think a bronzy black color.
Okay.
So you're addressing everything but the doors?
Everything but the doors.
Okay.
Right, second.
So we're not allowing any red at all.
We're just talking about the
We're just
balconies
talking about the
and being
rails
bronze
and the
block,
balconies.
in keeping with it was originally.
Okay. I would second that.
Well, you can.
I did. I second the motion, that motion.
All in favor?
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
All right.
Okay. So on the doors, the question.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
You're saying there's only two choices of color to change this red railing?
Pretty much, yeah. To be in keeping with what it used to be.
No.
Because that is something we do a lot, is to kind of be in keeping with what was kind of a bronzy,
I mean,
adult
what would
bronzy.
they have painted these railings when they built the buildings? Well, they were probably brown or bronze or black. They were a dark color. For one thing, it doesn't show, fingerprints in dirt like painting them white would.
And a contrasting color to the brick, right?
Right.
So I'm still a little confused.
I think that's up on the.
So you're saying go back to this color?
Ma'am?
You're saying go back to this color, the what's up there
No,
now?
actually a darker bronzy black.
I've got pictures here that show a different color.
It appears different anyway.
This one. Oh. Is that the same thing?
It's just really
Okay,
different.
so it just looks different.
Yeah.
Problem is,
I'm thinking bronzy black though.
We can't hear her.
It's
Thank you.
gray. It's gray, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like a gray. My concern with this is what's going to cover up the red? I mean, just putting that blue back, is that going to
Well,
cover?
actually bronze or black, I think it would cover it well, actually, because it's a darker color. What do you think?
It should.
Well, I know it hadn't been voted on yet, so I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking out loud.
So, on the doors and frames, I would like for y'all, it can be a contrasting color, it can match it, but I would like y'all to maybe work with the ARB staff on maybe one of the colors that are established or one that has been used before, because I know there's been a red of some sort used somewhere in this neighborhood.
Well, like I said earlier tonight.
I just think maybe like a darker.
I mean, I have a
burgundy
neighbor
or
that has
rust.
a red door, but my neighborhood is a historic neighborhood, but it's only been a historic neighborhood for 22, 23 years, and that door, I've been there 22, and that door has always been red. So that door may have been red 30 years ago, 40 years ago, so it may have been grandfathered in. Just because an area goes to a historic designation, we can't come in and say, oh, that door is no longer allowed, you gotta paint it. We couldn't do that. Now, if you wanted to replace the door, we could say, well, it has to be an approved color. I mean,
Well, to be honest with you, my concern is I got 15 gallons of this red paint, and I don't know where the money will come from to paint it back the same color it was. I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah,
That's my
I
concern
understand
standing here
that.
now. I know you hadn't voted on it, but that's my concern right now. I would need another miracle.
well, if the red could be mixed with something and we present it to us, well, I mean, I'm not saying that the railing has to be the original that or black. I'm just, in my personal opinion, man, the red is just a little much. And I've never liked red doors myself, personally, and that's just me. Some people, I didn't like broccoli for years until my wife said that I did. But anyway, so I don't know if it's in cans. You might, I don't know where you may have bought it, but you might.
Yeah, we got it at Sherwin-Williams, and then,
And I know they
it's
can.
just
they,
the paint, but
they
the
can,
labor.
They can mix and what, and they may actually. I mean, it's a nice red. It really is. They might actually take it back because red is not an unpopular color for a lot of things. especially in, country areas with outbuildings and barns especially.
We've spent too much time on this. We need
All right,
to make
that's
a
relevant.
decision and move on.
Yes, thank you. So we voted about the railing and the balcony, so is all we got left to?
It's the doors.
The doors? Well, again, as far as the doors go, I move that we deny petitioner's request to paint the doors in framing red.
Second.
We voted on that.
I thought it was the railing we voted on.
Oh.
Are you talking about just doors?
We just said the doors, we deny the doors.
The first vote was for the railings and the balconies.
Right.
We
didn't-
haven't done the doors.
We didn't do the doors.
I think there was
I
a
thought we did the
prior-
doors and it just didn't,
The
it was
first
4-3
motion-
or 3-4.
The first motion
That's
he
something I'm
made
confused with
was
this
for all of it, and then everybody said stop. Then he
Yeah.
made another
Okay.
motion to do the, then you did make another motion to just do the doors, and
All right.
that was to,
Mhm.
we ended up we failed it
4-3.
because it was 4-3.
Okay.
So that's it.
Looks like we should be now trying to go toward
You're
seeing
right.
if we can do something with the doors. 'cause I
So the
think we-
only other thing that we haven't done a motion on is, do we move, okay,
The red doors.
is move to, I can't make this motion because I'm gonna deny it, so somebody else would have to make the motion.
I move that we allow the doors to be painted red as the color that the client suggested.
Second.
All in favor?
So I can go with this because I feel like the pop from the previous one is the same thing.
You don't have to say a reason.
For myself, I do, John.
You got 5.
All right, so you can paint your doors red.
Those against, I just want to show of hands of those against.
What?
Those against the
Against?
motion.
Against?
For the record,
1, 2.
opposition. Thank you.
Yeah.
So ma'am, what we've done is you can paint your doors and frames the red that you have, okay, out of that 15 gallons. However, all your railings and the stairs need to be repainted back to either the black or a dark, what we call a bronze, which is a brownish color, a dark brown color.
Is there a time frame? Because, like I say, it's an issue for us.
You have, with an approval, you have there will be a certificate of appropriateness that you all will receive that gives you 1 year. It's actually up to 18 months. As long as you begin within that year, then it will extend for 18 months in total.
Okay, now will I need to show you the color that I choose? Because I'm understanding it's like 2 colors you're saying, and for me, black is out. That's me,
Okay.
I don't want the black anyway.
So they do have an approved list of colors, okay? That is the historic palette. And at any time in which you paint something, you can pick from the historic palette that the staff has. So you just need to coordinate with Sean the approval of that.
Okay, I understand that, but I understood the vote was only a bronze or a black. So, but I can choose from one of the colors on the palette?
There's several bronzes in there, well, I hate to go there because, there's yellow on the palette, there's gold on the palette.
Yeah, it needs to be the black or the bronze based on what we said.
Needs to
but
be
there-
dark neutral, gray,
dark-
bronze, black, something like that.
Yes.
I think you can work with Sean and coordinate a color.
And
with
you
that.
choose, approve, okay. All right,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
I'm
it.
so sorry.
Thank you for all the.
Now, we're taking any donation for anybody
All
want
right.
to contact
All
us
right.
for funds for this project. We appreciate it. Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much.
Warren, can you help me out? I can't remember the appeal process. What is the appeal process?
Circuit court.
The appeal process, within 30 days, if there's a denial, petitioner can appeal that to the circuit court. That's in writing.
Thank you.
All right, number 10, Melzada Reeves has withdrawn her project. And so we have Scott Steen left, number 1 Dexter Avenue. It's all right, I was just letting them know. Because they've still got an
Cedric.
agenda that has it on it.
How are y'all? This is 1 Dexter Avenue, the Klein building, which I think everybody here is probably pretty familiar with. It's come under new ownership recently, so we're doing some renovations, mostly to the interior. But we would like to replace the openings that were there in 1929, and in some point they went away. I guess we don't really know when they went away, but sometime before 1953, I think. So it's definitely not going back to the way it was when it was first built, but it's back to the late 1920s, if that makes sense.
So the windows you're talking about, like the transoms above the bay window things?
Basically, there's a mezzanine level at the second level, so it's basically just a window at that floor, but it looks like a transom.
What I always got into trouble with the National Park Service about in picking elements from different time periods is that they wanted to make sure that you weren't introducing something that had never been introduced with the other things. But these windows were there when those shop windows, when those display windows were put in. And at some point, they were taken out, and now you want to put them back in.
That's right.
All right.
In fact, in reading the blurb, did it say that the windows were still within the wall?
Well, actually, the masonry openings are there,
Oh,
not
the
the
masonry
actual
opening.
window.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why we kind of have to reference some old photographs to kind of figure out what those older windows look like.
Okay. All right. Are there any comments from the audience about this project? I move that the project be approved as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Sometimes being last on the agenda pays off.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
I always like that bill.
Before we finish, Chair, there's something I want to run past you. We are considering amending the ordinance which would allow the ARB to review and approve variance requests as long as they're submitted with a COA application. We had this process in place in South Florida before I came here. And what that does is, number one, it saves the applicant a month because they don't have to come to you guys, get an approval, and then submit an application to the Board of Adjustment. And secondly, it's understood that you as a board look at properties in a different way that other boards might. And a good example of that is a couple of months ago, an applicant came to you to build an accessory structure, which was given approval. However, the applicant required two variances. One was for lot coverage and one was for a separation distance between the new accessory structure and an existing historic accessory structure. The Board of Adjustment suggested tearing down the existing accessory structure, which would remove the need for the separation variance and the lot coverage variance, because what they saw was an old dilapidated structure. It was explained to them that if this was the process, then the applicant would then have to come back to you for approval to tear down the existing structure, and if that was denied, they were then going to have to go back to the Board of Adjustment to explain that, because the Board of Adjustment saw a dilapidated structure, you guys saw a historic structure that the applicant wanted.
She wanted to keep it.
Yeah, the applicant wanted to.
I would have voted to tear it down if she had wanted to keep it.
Right. But what we're thinking of doing is allowing the ARB to review and approve variances associated with COA applications. Number one, it's going to save the applicants a month. And number two, as you all know, historic properties, by their construction, in many cases are non-conforming structures. The setbacks maybe aren't what current setback requirements are, so if an applicant wants to build an addition, they then maybe find their side setback or their rear setback isn't working. So this is just a heads up that this is something which we've run past legal, and legal are fine with it. I just wanted to gauge your opinion, and if any of the board members felt they needed more information on what variances are, I can prepare something for the next meeting to explain it. But is that something that you would consider if someone came forward with a COA? Would you also be willing to consider reviewing any variance requests.
So, Madam Chair, the short version of that, can you give me?
Which is why I'm asking if you want an in-depth explanation at the next meeting.
Well, I think what it means is occasionally somebody wants to build something, but they'll have to get a variance because it'll be too close to the setback line or something like that.
What coverage
Are we talking
setbacks?
about any variance or just certain variances? Are we talking about
Any
variance?
variance associated with a certificate of appropriateness application. So in other words, if they're coming to you for approval for something, number one, they're a historic structure. Number two, they've submitted a COA application to come to you. So this is only for historic structures where they are undertaking alterations.
So like the fence that came before us earlier would not
Yes.
go before the Board of Adjustments because we would look at it holistically.
Yes. So it would still be two applications from the property owner, but just both of them would come to you, and you would review the entire application. And if in your mind you felt for the benefit of the district and the historic structure, the variance request made sense, then that would be a reason for granting the variance.
So would that cause an issue? Say we approve a fence that the Board of Adjustments denies the same height or character. I mean, is there an issue or concern there?
Well, there's no way of knowing what the Board of Adjustment would. You deal with each application on a case-by-case basis. Variances are basically requested if there is a hardship caused by the nature of the site. So in other words, you could argue that having a historic structure with setbacks that do not meet current setback requirements technically is an existing hardship on the site. So if an applicant wanted to add an addition and they weren't meeting their side setback because they wanted to keep it in line with the historic structure, that's an existing, technically a hardship on the land. So you wouldn't be saying to them, go to Board of Adjustment and ask for your side setback variance, because the only other option is moving your addition further along your back wall so that it meets the setback requirements. So these hardships could be caused by the historic designation, the slope of the land, the shape of the lot, the existing setbacks, the existing lot coverage. It would just allow you to take the historic significance of the structures and the district into account when someone is requesting a variance. It would be more holistic, as you said.
Personally, I think to me, it is saving the homeowners and the communities and the people that are living in these houses, and honestly, homes that with age and stuff take a significant amount of upkeep, right?
Yeah.
And it's allowing them, they're still having to go through the process of getting approval and looking at it as the historic nature, but it's minimizing the impact on them from having to go month after month after month to get something approved. So in my thought process is, because we're looking at it from the historic aspect in general, we can also should be able to look at it and provide the adjustment when we think it's necessary. So I'm in agreement with this, but that's just my.
I don't disagree with it, but I want to think through it and think. I don't want to be approving an accessory structure next to a fence that, if it caught fire, would catch the fence on fire, that would catch the house on fire. But certainly, fence heights are something that it's a visual effect, and we're skilled at reviewing those kinds of visual effects. And I don't see many safety concerns about that, except stopping it far enough from the corner or something. But
would we have the opportunity to say this is something that we would like to go to?
Well, this is a direction I would like to go in because I've seen how well it's worked in other municipalities, and it is saving the applicant at least 1 month by having to go to 2 boards, and it's also removing the possibility that they could get an okay by you guys and then have their variance denied by the Board of Adjustment. And don't forget, I go to the Board of Adjustment meetings as well, so I would be giving you the same staff advice as I give the Board of Adjustment. It's just a different set of people that would be reviewing them, but you would be reviewing them with your expert knowledge of the issues that historic properties have. And so you have that added experience with historic districts, so you know what districts have smaller setbacks, you know, uneven land, things like that, and you also know what is compatible with the district. So you're aware of, like you said earlier, there is a fence in the district that's horizontal. And if you remember, several months ago, we had the other one in the Garden District with the wall that had been built slightly too high. You're then left sort of thinking, okay, how do we approve this? What can we do? If you had the ability to grant a variance, you could have said, yes, the wall's too high, it's in keeping with the district, we will grant a variance from the height for this. So it gives you a bit more flexibility as well.
I agree with Hillary. It would certainly expedite the process, make it better for the other, but I also, I think, agree with Elizabeth. The devil's always in the details. I would certainly love to see a draft of just what, I guess, authority would be conveyed onto the ARB. Mm-hmm. You know, what can we do, what can't we do? You know, it's not like we're going to take over the Board of Adjustment, because I know there are certain things that you know, we just wouldn't do. But I do think it's a good idea. I mean, like you said, we look at things differently than they do. Where they see a shack, we see something that, you know, has potential if it can be done. So.
Yeah, and you understand the issues that a lot of historic properties actually have.
Well, we know we've learned once they're gone, and you know, I think people that don't kind of look at it the way we do, they'll pull the trigger real quick, like, oh yeah, tear it down.
Exactly, and you also know as well that a lot of historic properties are very small. So someone comes in, they want to build an addition, all of a sudden they're exceeding the lot coverage and they're getting too close to their back fence line. Mm-hmm. So, you know, this is a way to encourage people to, and make it easier for them to continually use and adapt historic properties. And, you know, in my mind, it makes perfect sense for the ARB to review variance requests for historic properties. And again, only in conjunction with a COA. Someone couldn't just come in and ask for a variance for something. So would you like me to prepare something on variances for the next meeting? This is going to take several months. It's not going to happen immediately. It's just a heads up.
And you said you're going to run it by legal to make sure.
Legal are fine with it, yeah. Their opinion is that you guys are here for the benefit of historic properties and districts, and variances can be seen to be for the benefit of historic properties and districts. But I just didn't want to move ahead with any sort of code amendment without at least bringing it to your attention to get some feedback. But I can prepare something more in depth for the next meeting if that's what you would like. And just have a think about it and bring in
either a handout or a little presentation. I mean, more information is.
We can do that. We can do that. And one other thing we've been considering for another board is removing this need for 5 votes to approve an application. You need 5 people here for a quorum. They then need 5 votes to get an approval. Otherwise, the applicant is left with the decision of, will I wait a month or will I roll the dice and see if I get the votes? We're thinking about, certainly one of our other boards, amending the procedures so that the majority gets the decision. So if there's only 5 of you here, if the vote is 3-2 in favour, then the application's approved. So it's just something else we're thinking about to try and improve these processes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I need
And
approval of the minutes.
Exactly,
Okay.
I didn't forget. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as they were submitted to you?
No.
If not, they stand approved as read. Meeting is adjourned.